Rome did not conquer the ancient world because its soldiers were stronger than the giant barbarians they fought. They did not win because they were braver than the fearless tribes defending their homes. They didn't even win because they had superior technology or unbreakable weapons of war. Rome conquered the known world because its army was built differently from any other fighting force in history. Again and again, Rome faced enemies who outnumbered them 10 to 1 on the battlefield. Enemies who fought harder and with a raw, desperate fury that should have terrified them. And enemies who, at first, defeated them and crushed their legions into the dirt. Yet, Rome always came back, returning with new armies, stronger and more determined than before. Empires rose to challenge the eagle, and one by one, they vanished into the dust of history. So what made the Roman army invincible for 500 years of total Mediterranean dominance? Most ancient armies were temporary. Kings raised troops only for war and disbanded them after the harvest. Mercenaries fought for pay and ran when the money stopped flowing or the battle turned against them. Rome did the opposite. Roman soldiers trained constantly, even in peace, treating every drill like real warfare. Marching drills, formation drills, weapon practice. It was a relentless daily cycle of preparation. A legionnaire could march over 30 kilometers in a single day, moving faster than any enemy expected. Fully armored, carrying 60 pounds of gear and survival equipment strapped to his back. And then build a fortified camp before he was allowed to sleep safe behind walls every single night. Discipline was brutal. Disobedience was punished physically, often by the centurion's heavy vine staff. Cowardice meant execution, carried out publicly to ensure no other soldier ever ran away. This created an army that feared its officers more than the enemy, knowing that disobedience meant certain death. When chaos erupted on the battlefield and lines began to crumble under heavy assault, Roman formations held, locking shields together into an unbreakable wall of iron. They obeyed orders under conditions that would break anyone else, ignoring fear to execute commands perfectly. That discipline mattered more than courage ever could, turning individual soldiers into a single weapon. The Roman legion was not a mass of warriors seeking personal glory in chaotic single combat. It was a machine. While enemies fought as a mob of individuals, Rome fought as a system. Rome fought in a hierarchy. Legions divided into cohorts and centuries with clear chains of command. Clear commanders, clear signals, orders flowed downward instantly, moving thousands of men with a single word. If part of the line collapsed under the crushing weight of a massive enemy assault, fresh units stepped in to fill the gap. It was modular, repairing itself in real time. Unlike enemies who relied on one heroic charge to decide the entire battle's outcome, Rome relied on rotation. When the front line tired, they cycled back to rest and recover. The enemy always faced a fresh soldier with full energy, eventually collapsing from sheer physical exhaustion. This allowed them to change formations mid-battle, shifting from lines to wedges instantly, or form a defensive square when surrounded, creating an impenetrable fortress of shields on all sides. They maintained cohesion under pressure that would scatter a mob, fighting back to back until the end. Rome didn't need a perfect plan executed by genius generals to win every war. It needed soldiers who could adapt to a bad one, fixing tactical mistakes with discipline. Organization was their superpower, allowing them to control the chaos of ancient warfare. But organization needs teeth, and Rome's bite was delivered through brutal, pragmatic engineering. Rome's weapons were simple, but deadly efficient, designed not for show, but for mass slaughter. The gladius was a short stabbing sword, perfect for the cramped, crushing pressure of the front line. While enemies swung wildly, the Romans stabbed efficiently, aiming for the gut or groin with lethal precision. Then the pilum, a heavy javelin designed for one purpose, to punch through enemy armor and shields. Penetration, it hit with enough force to pierce wood, metal, and the man behind it. Upon impact, the soft metal neck would bend, rendering the weapon useless to the enemy. You couldn't pull it out. The enemy had to drop their shield, dragging it down with the dead weight, leaving them naked against the coming charge of thousands of heavy infantrymen drawing their swords. And protecting the Roman, the scutum, a massive curved rectangular shield made of layered wood. It covered the body from chin to shin, allowing soldiers to advance safely through arrow storms. But its true power was in numbers. The shield wall became a moving fortress no barbarian could break. Each soldier protected the man beside him, covering his vulnerable right side with his neighbor's shield. Rome fought as a single organism, a crushing wall of iron that moved with one mind. Against this, individual bravery meant nothing. A single hero cannot defeat a relentless machine. Rome was arrogant, but Rome was not proud. They knew when their own methods were failing. When Rome was defeated, they copied the people who beat them, absorbing their enemies' strengths instantly. From the Samnites, they realized their phalanx was too slow and rigid for fighting in the mountains, so they stole the manipular system. From Carthage, they captured a wrecked ship after suffering humiliating defeats at sea, reverse-engineered it, and built a navy from scratch in a matter of months to rule the waves. From the Gauls, they adopted chainmail, recognizing it offered better protection than their bronze plates. Even their iconic helmets were copied from Celtic designs, optimized to deflect heavy downward sword strikes. Other armies fought the same way for centuries, clinging to tradition even as they were slaughtered. Rome didn't cling to tradition, it evolved, becoming a hybrid of the best military tech in the world. If you had a better weapon, Rome would take it, improve it, and use it to kill you. That adaptability made them deadly, ensuring they were always one step ahead of every rival. Wars are not won only on battlefield. They are won by food, supplies, and movement. The boring science of logistics won their wars. Rome understood this better than anyone in history, realizing that an army effectively marches on its stomach. Roman engineers built over 80,000 kilometers of roads, creating a stone network that spanned 3 continents. Legions moved at lightning speed, appearing weeks early, shocking enemies who thought they had time to prepare. Supplies reached deep into hostile territory, ensuring Roman soldiers were fed while their enemies starved. Remember those camps? They weren't just sleeping bags, they were temporary fortresses. Because of the walls built every night, soldiers slept soundly, fully rested while the enemy slept in fear. To an enemy, a city appeared out of nowhere overnight. Surprise attacks were nearly impossible, as watchtowers and ditches protected the sleeping legions perfectly. The shovel was just as important as the sword, and often it was the shovel that won the war. Rome conquered the land itself before the people, taming the wilderness to serve their military machine. But they also conquered minds, using psychological terror to break the will of their opponents. Rome didn't just defeat enemies physically, they dismantled their culture, their pride, and their hope. Public executions, mass enslavement, cities were leveled to the ground as a permanent warning. The rhythmic thud of a marching legion was designed to terrify, a mechanical sound that signaled approaching doom. But Rome also weaponized mercy, rewarding those who surrendered with stability and protection. Some enemies were crushed, others were absorbed, their elites invited to join the Roman way of life. Rome offered citizenship and trade, but only after submission. You could be a partner or a corpse. Resistance meant annihilation, surrender meant survival. This binary choice forced kings to kneel without fighting. This reputation spread fear faster than any army, traveling ahead of the legions to soften enemy resolve. Many battles were won before a sword was drawn, as entire nations surrendered rather than face the legions. Yet sometimes Rome did lose, suffering catastrophic defeats that would have destroyed lesser empires. Rome's greatest strength was not victory, it was endurance. They simply refused to accept they were beaten. At Cannae, Rome lost 50,000 men, The government was decapitated, and the road to Rome lay open. Any other civilization would have surrendered, begging Hannibal for peace terms to save their city. Rome refused. They banned the word peace and outlawed public mourning to maintain morale. They lowered the draft age, they freed slaves to fight, they mobilized every living soul for total war. They simply raised more legions, replacing entire lost armies as if they were endless. Rome absorbed losses that would end empires and continued fighting until the enemy ran out of men. Because Rome did not fight wars for glory, they didn't fight for a king's ego or gold, they fought wars for survival. For Rome, there was no second place, only victory or death. The Roman army was unstoppable because it never quit, no matter how many times it was knocked down. Discipline, structure, adaptability, logistics, willpower. The 5 pillars of the greatest military machine in history. These principles shaped military thinking for 2,000 years, studied by Napoleon, Patton, and modern generals. Rome fell eventually, but its system remains the blueprint for how to build a superpower. The most effective war machine ever created. The eagle has fallen, but its shadow remains. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe to Ayat Historians for more deep dives into history. Tell us, which ancient army should we dismantle next? The Spartans? The Mongols? Let us know below.